Hey there, it's Jennifer from the blog The Everyday Farmhouse. Today we're going to be making handmade napkins. This is the third month in our series for the handmade home. We're doing a handmade project every month for the year. Going to learn some new skills. So far for January we learned how to make a sourdough starter. For February we hand dipped candles. You can find those videos and blog posts. I'll link below for that. And then this month we're going to make handmade napkins. And what's special about these napkins is we're going to make them look really professional by doing a mitered corner. So these are great for your home or for a gift, and we're going to learn how to do that now. So to start, we're going to have a piece of fabric cut 17 by 17 inches. Now I'm usually an eyeball it kind of person, but I made these little templates that make it so easy to get these very perfect. So I cut a 1-inch strip and a 1/2-inch strip out of just poster board. You could use a manila envelope or whatever you have. And so I'll link below to this fabric. It came from shopfabric.com and it's so pretty. I made a curtain for a bathroom with it as well. So to do this, you take your 1-inch strip. You're going to want 2 hems, and you can kind of see where I had hemmed this before, but I'm going to show you how I did this or ironed the crease. So I'm going to take the 1-inch strip, and you want to just fold your fabric over so that it's even with the bottom of that. And then you're going to press this with the iron to make that nice sharp crease. And you're going to need these markers for later in your project, but this is just going to make it so much easier to make these very precise and to get those really beautiful mitered corners. So once you've pressed one side, then you go on to press all 4 sides of the napkin. Okay, now you're going to do the same thing with your little 1/2-inch strip. So this is going to, be inside that 1-inch crease. And you're going to go through and just press this 1-inch marking so that when you go to sew these, you're going to have it doubled over, if that makes sense. So you'll press it at 1/2-inch, and then you'll press it at the 1-inch, and then the 1/2-inch, and then when you fold it over, you'll actually stitch or hem it at the 1-inch mark, but there won't be any fraying because you'll have doubled it over. So now this is where you're going to use that 1/2-inch mark, and you are going to lay out your mitered corners. So what I'm doing is I'm folding it at the 1/2-inch fold, and then I'm measuring down from the point 1 inch on each side. So I'm marking that 1 inch, and then I'm going to connect those 2 marks with a diagonal line right across there. And you're going to do this on all 4 sides. And then I'll next show you how you're going to match that up, and you're going to fold and stitch along that tiny little line, and that's going to help you to make your mitered corner. So you can see I'm just marking 1 inch and 1 inch and then connecting that with a diagonal line. So this is where it might seem confusing, but just watch what I do. You're just folding this right sides together on your napkin so that the 2 right sides are facing together, and you're lining up those 2 marks for the diagonal line. And it'd probably be easiest if you pinned this to hold it nice and straight. Make sure it's lined up really nicely. And then you're going to do this on all four corners where you just pin this, and you're going to stitch along that little diagonal line with the sewing machine. So I'll show you again. Keep that folded. There'll be kind of like a little, almost like a dog ear sticking off the end. So fold at that diagonal line, or at that half-inch line, and then just fold it over so that that's kind of making a loop there. And you're going to stitch along those little marks. It's just a short little stitch that you're going to do to make the mitered corner. So now you're going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm just using a straight stitch on this, you know, fairly close together length, 2 or 3 on your stitch length. And this is just a tiny little stitch, but you do want to make sure you go forward and then back stitch a little bit to make sure that stays in place. Then stitch all the way along that little diagonal line and back stitch again. And you're just going to repeat this on all 4 corners of the napkin. Now what you're going to do is just snip as close as you can to the stitches, leave just a little bit of flap. You're going to just pop this right side out now, and use your scissors or a pencil or whatever you have handy to kind of poke that corner out on the napkin. And so you can see I'm kind of spreading apart the little seam there to make it nice and neat, and then just pop that out. And there you are, you're making your mitered corners. And now the easy part is just going to be to stitch around the napkin, and that's what we'll do next. Now you're going to do the straight stitch all the way around the napkin. One thing to keep in mind, since you're stitching with this with the wrong side up, whatever color thread is in your bobbin is what's going to be on the top of your napkin. So just keep that in mind. Mine's a pretty neutral, basic color scheme, so I'm just using white thread, and that looks really sharp against the yellow and white. And so I'm just stitching as close as I can to the seam that I pressed. Of course, it's folded over twice, you know that. It's folded at the half and then folded under at the 1 inch. Now when you get to the corners, what you're going to do is you're going to just gently keep your needle down and just turn. You don't need to lift your needle up or anything like that. Turn at the corners and then just stitch straight down the other side. And that makes these just nice and neat, and the stitching will look really nice on the top.